Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another wonderful episode of The Jason Factor. We just had a beautiful moment in stream right before we started this game where two people in my chat discovered that they knew each other despite not coming to this stream together. And that's awesome. Very wholesome. Very, very wholesome. I expect them to get married and invite me to the wedding. I will get ordained just so I can commentate the wedding. Or perhaps I don't need to be ordained. I can just do the commentary from a side couch and someone else can actually do the proceeding. We've got Jason versus a Zerg today called Twitch Chat Z. It seems like the kind of name Catz or someone would use for their account, which means this game could get funky. The drone is going to the third instead of the natural, so game getting funky, as I said. And Jason in the top left is our heroic blue Terran player, as always. He pretty much does all the standard stuff. Lots of Reaper expands. I don't really think Jason's much of a proxier. I don't know if I've ever seen Jason proxy somebody. Maybe if he's really mad. You know, maybe when he watched Avengers and Infinity War and when everybody died at the end and he was like, you know what? I'm angry. Maybe then he went and proxied some people. Because I feel like that might be enough to push him to the edge and snap. Otherwise, if that wouldn't do the trick, then frankly speaking, nothing probably will. This tangent is brought to you by Nathanias, who loves you. Anyway, another hatchery. So this is definitely Catz. So the hatchery to start on the third, and then the natural. No gas. This level of greed, I've never seen it before. I mean, when Catz plays StarCraft, him and Vibe do this a lot. This fast 3-base no gas, because they're like, NA Terrans aren't good enough to punish you for it, right? These guys never proxy. So Jason comes in. He sees that the natural is late. And there lies the rub, right? You see that the hatch finished late. You don't know about the third. Now, if he were to catch a glimpse of the creep, he might think to himself, oh. But instead, now he could play this a little bit more safe. He isn't rushing to build a bunker or wall off, which is nice. Presumably, you play enough games against Catz. You kind of know how it goes. So I would assume that Jason has played Catz a lot and he kind of knows what he's going to do. If you ever get put versus Catz, 99% of the time, he either goes hatch first in your base and then builds 2 more hatcheries at home, or he just goes double hatch before pool. He's just kind of a crazy guy. You know, if you missed him in the Pylon show episode, the Christmas episode for the Pylon show was fantastic. My goal was to get so faded that I could kind of like, you know, be a little bit of comic relief. And well, let's just say I think Catz was rolling hard before we even started. That man, if you guys missed the Pylon show Christmas extravaganza, let me tell you, it was absolutely fantastic. I think that's on Artosis's Twitch and YouTube channel now. So Jason is going to go for that fast Corps de la Fusion. And battle cruisers, I feel it. Someone in chat points out he's only just started mining gas. What the? And I have to say, doesn't surprise me. I mean, think about it this way. The most popular build for Terran to do versus Zerg right now, the Reaper Expand, Reactor Hellion, Battlecruiser Rush into Mech, and then eventually Thor Liberator Hellion, right? So if you're Catz and you're playing versus a Terran and you think you have some idea that they're going to do what standard schmandard is, you don't need to do anything other than build queens and drones, because a Battlecruiser is countered by like 6 or so queens. So if you have enough queens, then the queens can defend the Hellions. Queens are great against Hellions, and queens are great against Battlecruisers. So unless the Terran builds an armory with the Battlecruiser and teleports the BC on top of the queens with a bunch of Hellbats, unless the Terran does that, in which case I think you can kill a mass queener And even then, it's still a little bit tricky. You get into some trouble. So Jason tries to go up the ramp. He's going to boop the queen away. He's looking for drones in all the right places. Up to 8 picked off so far. Still got a couple of the Hellions alive to try and get that splash damage. And really, really good harass here from Jason. Now, he did kill enough to kind of soft reset the economy, because we do have Catz with 13 drones being made. So he's going to go right back on top in the worker count. But it's nice for Jason, because forcing Catz to build those drones then, well, he didn't necessarily want to have to build all of those drones because he would lose them. He would have rather probably not lost the drones in the first place. But this is very Paulo Vizcarra. Very, very standard. At least in Catz's world, very standard. But 14 drones, I'd feel pretty happy about that. Resources lost doesn't necessarily matter here, because Hellions are expendable. Hellions are a unit that you are happy to trade for drones. The value of the resources in those drones is much higher than that of the Hellions. Now, the battlecruiser coming across. There was no Viking before the BC, so the battlecruiser will have to do the Viking's job of killing some overlords. There are still a few positioned around the outside of his base. This map does get tricky. Catz is going for Carapace, and this is going to allow these queens. He's got a lot. He's got 11 queens, by the way. So battlecruiser would literally do nothing on the harassment side. If you teleported in, could probably kill a few drones, but you'd lose the battlecruiser almost guaranteed. So you have to be careful with it. I like that he didn't teleport in. He is getting Yamato, which says to me 3 battlecruisers is the magic number. And then you make your transition into tanks, Hellions. Triton is a scary map because your third base is super exposed. You've got a ramp here, the no ramp entrance here. You've got this ramp to work with. And if you put too much here to cover all these angles, you can be vulnerable to attacks from the side. Nidus Swarm Host, something that is also going to be on the table, possibly here and possibly here. Now the battlecruiser shows up to do a little bit of pokey poke poke, or the hokey poke, as some say. And it turns itself around, because that is, in fact, what it is all about. Catz spreading the overlords always makes me nervous. So we have the double armories, tanks going back. Yamato's going to finish soon. 3 BCs is the 99% choice here for Terran players. So yeah, he's going to start the third battlecruiser. And this looks like an extremely standard modern Terran versus Zerg. Past the fact that Catz opened up with no gas until he had 60 drones. If you're a Terran player, it is really hard to punish queen openings. Really, you know, queens are just kind of great at everything. Frankly speaking, queens are stupid good. So BCs are going to come over. It says I'm going to Yamato the high energy queens, and then just do as much damage as possible, kill as many of the queens as I can, and then rotate the BCs out. Now, battlecruisers do have a little bit of a timer on the jump before they go. They can be killed during that. So you have to be a little bit more cautious. But look at this. The Hellions find the southwest base, roasted and toasting some drones. All the queens over here have actually been picked off. Now, Jason's going to send the other BC home. He says it's not worth the chance of losing it. He's going to turn his Hellions into Hellbats. And this is when you start doing a little bit of that hold position dance. You just say, hey, I'm going to come up here. If I can get the Hellbats onto your queens, I will be able to kill them. 15 Hydralisks are being made, but Jason has already been building siege tanks back at home. So killing these queens is really, really nice, since the Hydralisks are going to have to become the anti-air defense. Catz did not get a Spire. He does not have a Spire. It looks like what he wants to do is a sort of Hydraling Bane type play. By the way, this still just, oh man, why don't more people build a Viking? Whatever happened to the Pult Viking? The starport can't do anything before the fusion core is done. I always like getting the Viking. I love you, Jason. I love you. But this overlord's been sitting out here, peeking up your skirt for the whole game. This one too. Sees that you're going for this base now. Didn't even have to leave a Ling there. I'm just saying. Not like Vegeta saying, but more like a soft Gohan saying. +2/+2. Getting the attack upgrades. And I actually, you know, Catz canceled his Carapace upgrade. I'm just now realizing this, because he was going for it early on, and I think it's a mistake. The battlecruiser is the most heavily affected unit in StarCraft by upgrades, because it is the fastest attacking unit in StarCraft, and it does very, very little damage. I mean, 8 damage per hit against ground, right? And it shoots maybe like 4 or 5 times a second. At which point you say to yourself, well, if the Hydras had the Carapace, that would help a lot. But instead, he's able to drag and kill a little bit more of them. Now, teleporting one out's going to be tricky. He does manage to just barely pull out. Good pull-out game, Jason. Respect, fam. So he's going to get some Cyclones, going to get some Hellions, Transformation Servos, and Drilling Claws. I love both of them. Widow Mines are fantastic. A lot of Zerg players make mistakes with that, and I think Yamato's off cooldown, so he's thinking about going in, but I'd like to see him skirt around the outside, because it would also let him see the hive timing. So you have pathogen glands coming in, and that is going to enable the infestors to spawn with enough energy for a fungal growth. Fungal is not as big as it used to be, but since Jason wants to play Cyclone Hellion, fungal growth is actually awesome. If you land a fungal on the Cyclone Hellion, the Hydras just instantly kill it, because these units are fast, they can do a good bit of damage, but they're very fragile, so you need to be cautious. Unfortunately, that Raven dies without being able to do anything, which always sucks. And the Drilling Claw mines are going to be neutralized by the Overseers. However, if you can mop up the Overseers on the way back, there is a lot that you can do. There's a lot that you can do to a Zerg player who is not on top of constantly replenishing those. So I love this. The BCs are going to go towards the east side of the map. And without creep spread, these Hydras, I mean, they are riding the struggle bus a little bit. You do need to make sure you have tanks to fall back on. Cyclone Hellion is very bad defensively, but the whole army is over there. Oh my God, what if he yeets onto the hive? Oh, he's going for it. Dun, 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 dun. Nope, it finished. Done. Oh, he's just going to focus it down anyway. Says, hey, man, if you can't get out what you need, that'd be fantastic for me. And Catz probably be throwing the transfuse. No, focus it. Finish him. Don't let all the queens come transfuse it. No, Jason, kill it. Cast it into the fire. Oh, he got it. And only one BC lived to tell the tale. Go on. Share the memory of what happened here today. So Boris, the battle cruiser, as thou hath been dubbed, crusher of hives, protector of the cyclones. Well, Jason kind of lost everything after that, but there is a little bit of a core mech army still at home. So he's got some siege tanks, plenty of command centers, can build planetaries out the wazoo. I would like to see a transition into a more late game army start, but it seems he wants to play the harass style. He's actually going to be rebuilding those battle cruisers, which I think is a bit of a mistake. Personally, I'd love to see Jason go for Liberators with range. There's that fungal, by the way. You can see that the Hellions and the Cyclones have 5 attack range. The Hydras have 6. So when they get fungaled and slowed down, they can't really do that funny little dance thing they do. Because, yeah, well, yeah, you can lock on, but you can't run away, so you're going to die. And the Banelings blow up a huge portion of the mech army. Hydra's going down into this choke against the siege tanks, though, will get blown up. Fortunately for Jason, at least, the Hellions, quite expendable, as we've talked about, but he's not a rich boy. He's going to try and give chase since there is no creep over here. A few of these Hydras will give their lives to buy time for the infestors to skedaddle. But I think he actually could still get the infestors. Now he's changed his mind. He's going to pull back. 22 Hydralisks are on the way, as well as 3 for Jason's mech. Look at that. Sometimes, gentlemen, you got to double wrap them. And someone in chat asked, did Jason provide these replays? No. I asked Jason if I could do them because he gives away all of his replays publicly. And I'm just gonna tell you guys how great Jason is all the time. So, yeah. If you go to his Twitch page, which is Juggernaut Jason, you can just type ! replays in his chat, and you can just download all of them. It's pretty awesome. He graciously said he would love for me to cast his games, so now we're just going to make a Twitch or / YouTube series about how fantastic Jason is. Pretty good spread here by both players. Going down into this ramp is going to be tricky, though, if he chooses to. Catz just didn't have time to rebuild all the forces that he had lost in this state. And I'm really surprised that this many Hellions and Cyclones are getting so much damage done. I think it really comes down to the fact that there's just not a lot of meat here. And these Hydralisks, they have the DPS, but they just don't have the soak. That's the real problem. They don't have the soak necessary to eat these tank and Hellion shots. And suddenly a very fragile army is actually going up against another quite fragile. Yeah, there you go. Just Hellions killing it with a handful of BCs to support. I'm not entirely sure there's a whole lot Catz can do here. I think he's dead. He's like 60, 70 supply ahead. GG is called, and Jason able to get a nice dub there. So well done by Jason. Gotta say, big takeaways from this that I love to see. Double wrapping with planetaries. With this, you can't just run a bunch of Banes into this planetary, because this one will be able to kill a good amount of them. Or if they blow this planetary up, guess what? Your expansion is still safe. So really like seeing that. Also, just phenomenal harass. Great job getting work done by the Terran player in this game.